Hello again and welcome back to Illegally Sighted. This is Jesse here and I am back for another blindness slash assistive technology related video. And so for a little really quick background, I've been doing this channel now for over 10 years, believe it or not. And until this point, I really haven't felt the need to do a sort of basic introductory, like, hey, this is how a blind person or this is how a visually impaired person uses a computer or uses a smartphone or just uses mainstream technology in general type of video. But I thought, maybe now is the time actually to do it because A, the channel has taken off quite a bit in the last several years or a few years. And more interestingly, I have gotten a few comments either through YouTube video comments, or like I've posted comments on other people's YouTube videos, and then other people have replied to me, social media posts. But I've had several comments from other people, presumably who haven't really um, worked with anyone who has been blind or visually impaired before, because I've gotten several comments of, I post this comment somewhere and they're like, how are you even writing this how are you even posting this if you're blind? How do you use a computer? You can't use a computer. What are you doing? So this video is kind of just some of the ways that a blind and low vision user like myself uses a computer and a smartphone. So just to kind of give people an introduction to assistive technology. And this is a lot of the technology that I often cover in my day job where I work as an assistive technology specialist, kind of helping other people learn about technology that they can use so they can also be successful. So we are looking at the desktop of Windows 10 currently. And before I go any further, I guess I should say I am legally blind. That is where illegally sighted comes from. Kind of a spoof on the whole legally blind thing, because I always found that term to be a little strange, but I digress. So I have enough vision to see, pretty well. I can see to get around, the real world pretty well. I can watch movies, I can play games. I mean, I can do a lot of different things that pretty much everyone does visually. But there are things that I have trouble with, things that are really small, things that have low contrast or very small text size. Even, standard size print is generally difficult for me. But the nice thing is that pretty much any device that you get now, Windows, Mac, iPhone, Android phone, iPad, heck, Xbox consoles, PlayStation 5, not so much the Switch, but that does have a magnification or a zoom feature, which is good. But I would like it to have more accessibility features. But, smart TVs, set-top boxes, the Apple TV, like all these different things have built-in accessibility features to them that people with a number of different disabilities can use, like blindness or low vision, like myself. And furthermore, people who are blind or low vision, people always say blindness is a spectrum, which it is. Very few people who are considered blind or legally blind have zero usable vision. A lot of people they could be anywhere from light perception, where they can see, bright lights. Some people might be able to see blurry shadows. Some people may be able to see shapes. And then moving up from there, you have people who can see some detail. You have some people who can read large print. You have people that have good peripheral vision, but bad central vision because they've got a blind spot somewhere in the middle of their central vision. You've got people who have very narrow tunnel vision, like, putting a roll of toilet paper up to your eye and looking through this, or a straw, trying to look through this um, tiny field of view. So you have all kinds of different vision impairment types. And like I said, mine is somewhere in the middle. My best eye is, people say, okay, 20/20 vision is like perfect vision. My best eye is 20/800. Yeah, craptacular. But, you know, I'm thankful for the vision that I do have, and that eye has, you know, that's the decent central vision. But I actually kind of have a blind spot where my left eye peripheral vision, I can't see too well peripherally to the left, but I have better peripheral vision on my worse eye, my right eye, that I have better right side peripheral vision. So again, even my vision is just really strange in a way. So I give you that background because, like I said, this plays into assistive technology because while somebody may be totally blind or maybe low vision, especially for someone who is low vision or legally blind, such as myself, we can use a variety of different types of technology. I use a combination of magnification and text to speech, not speech to text. I mean, I'll use that a little bit too, like Siri or something. But no, I use text to speech, which means the computer reads stuff aloud to me. I can't tell you how many times people have said, "Oh, so you talk to the computer because you're blind." No, I mean, yes, I can, but no, I type just like everybody else. I know how to touch type. Um, but no, you need the computer to read to you. That is the main difference that so many people get wrong. So I'm just going to show you guys, just kind of give you guys a brief overview of some of the types of tools that are out there. And everything that I'm going to show you today is free or very low cost, and I will tell you those as we go. As I said right away, I'm in Windows 10. We're sitting at the desktop, and Windows itself has many built-in accessibility features. So one of them that I use every day, Windows Magnifier. Yeah, I can go into the Settings app and I can go to Ease of Access in Windows 10 or Accessibility in Windows 11. Or I can just hit Windows Plus and let there be magnification. Everything that I do on my computer now, go to my Start menu, everything gets magnified. If I want to zoom in, Windows Plus, keep hitting it, Windows Minus, zoom out. I want to kill it and go back to normal, Windows Escape. Done. That's really all there is to it. Yeah, there's a few other settings that you can do, but really instantaneously, Windows Plus, Windows Minus. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to download anything. You don't have to install anything. It's just there. One other thing that Windows Magnifier does have, let's say a lot of low vision users will read shorter things visually, but maybe, they get eye fatigue, or they get headaches, when they read for a long period of time. It's hard on their eyes and stuff. So I'm going to open Microsoft Edge and I'm going to go to a website, appleviz.com, which is another cool accessibility site for Apple users. I choose this site when I do demos for people because it just has a lot of text. So I can move my mouse around and just, pan across the screen and read, just like I was zooming into a page or something. But for longer items, let's say that this was a long article that I wanted to read. I can just hold Alt and Control on the computer keyboard, and I can left click.
We are a large and active community that welcomes everyone from around the world and draws upon a wealth of individual
You see how it
and
follows along
experience to help
visually.
each other in
I can hit Control to stop it at any time. It'll just keep reading until it hits the end of the document or until I tell it to stop. Let's say that I don't care about that. Maybe I want to start at this paragraph.
Also be sure to browse our iOS and iPadOS, Mac, Apple Watch, and Apple TV app directories.
Now again, I can stop it and I can adjust. There are male voices, there are female voices. I can speed it up, I can slow it down. A lot of people, as they get used to synthesized speech, will speed it up over time. Like, this is not how I typically listen to it. I listen to it generally quite a bit faster, but when I demo it to people, for assessments and things, obviously I have to generally slow it down because most people aren't used to it. So, like I said, as a low vision user, I will read some shorter things visually, But honestly, I've been using text to speech for many, many years, probably well over 30 years now. And because I'm so used to it, I've gotten so used to it being fast that it's much faster, much more efficient, much easier for me to read, um, have something read aloud quickly. So anytime I'm reading something longer, I will have it read aloud because that's just what's comfortable to me. Now, you also may notice that we're looking at a website. It's got this dark gray background. It also, right now we're just looking at a bunch of text, but let's say I go to, let's just go to, let's see, Best Buy, because that's got a bunch of pictures on it. So if you've been to the Best Buy website, you're probably like, it doesn't look like this. It looks like that. That is because I'm using a free browser add-on, just like how, you have your operating systems have a light theme and a dark theme now. The nice thing is you can get browser add-ons. The one that I'm using is called Dark Reader. And what I like about it is I love dark themes. I use dark mode all the time. So, all right, Xbox, there we go. Xbox One, I need one of those. Or Xbox Series X, I mean. But yeah, I mean, so we got all of our stuff here, but you notice that it doesn't invert the pictures. So I get the benefit of the dark background, which is much easier on my eyes, for instance. I can turn magnifier on and I can zip and just look around the website, no problem. But when I look at pictures, anything really image heavy, it is totally fine. I look at pictures and like they look like the way they're supposed to. So if I'm looking for a device and I want the blue one, I don't want, if I'm inverting the colors, I don't want the red one that looks blue or the blue one that is actually red. And pictures of people look all weird and photo negative. Dark Reader allows you to do that, and it just hides up here in your in up by your address bar. I can click it. I can turn it on and off. This is a free add-on, and all you got to do to go there, I'm just gonna go to the address bar and I'm gonna type in dark. I'm gonna type better darkreader.org. You go here and this is the website. You just click on whatever browser you want. You got Chrome, you got Safari, you got Firefox, you got Edge. There's even now that iOS 15 supports browser add-ons with Safari, you can go to the App Store and search for Dark Reader there, and you can get it for Safari for mobile, which is fan-bloody-tastic. So yeah, I mean, these are some low vision features that I use all the time. Now, like I said, for me, I've gotten so used to, and I do a lot with speech, text to speech, and I do a lot with keyboard commands. Whether you're sighted or visually impaired or totally blind, like even a lot of sighted users, they don't use keyboard commands. They click everywhere. Everything has to be clicky, clicky, click everything. And to me, that's actually really inefficient sometimes because if you know your keyboard commands for Windows, for your applications that you regularly use, and for your assistive technology, you can zip around a computer like, no problem. I can Alt Tab between my open windows. I can hit Windows E if I want to quickly jump to File Explorer. I can hit Alt F4 to close. I can, any number of different commands. When I use the Start menu, I don't go to the Start menu and look for a program. I type in, if I want to open Word, I type in Word. Boom, and I'm in. I hit enter, and I'm going to get Word. There we go, Alt F4, done. So just knowing the keyboard shortcuts, even when I'm in a document, I want to make, a heading, or I want to bold text, or underline it, or center it, or do something, adjust, font properties, or whatever it is. There's shortcuts for almost everything. And it can be really handy. Just like in Windows, I will use things like, if you pin if you pin programs to your taskbar. Oh, knock it off, you stupid pop-up thingy. You pin frequently used programs to your taskbar. So, okay, the third one in is Chrome. Okay, now I'm back on Chrome. Windows 1, I'm back in Edge. Windows 2, okay, there's my Steam. Okay, we're in. So I want to do Kindle, or I'm on the Kindle website. Now I'm back to the Dark Reader. So if you have programs that you use, there are so many great ways to get around your computer quickly. This is my desktop where I do all of my outside of work things. All my YouTube channel and gaming and just other projects that I do. And in Windows 10, you can set up multiple desktops. So I have my work desktop over here if I want to do actual day job or work related tasks when I'm working from home. And I just switch between all that with keyboards. So, whether you're using assistive technology or not, it's just a really, really helpful thing. But the reason I mention keyboard commands is because there's another assistive technology called a screen reader. And this is, like I showed you, Windows Magnifier, you can just Alt Control left click and it'll read text to you from, like, oh, I'm going to click at the beginning of this paragraph and read from here. But if you're totally blind or you have a severe vision impairment, you're probably going to use a screen reader. And the way you control your computer, like a totally blind person, is 99% of the time not going to use a mouse. They will use keyboard commands that may control the mouse, but they will not use the mouse because, well, you can't see the pointer. How are you going to use it? And really quickly, before I go into that, let me show you one other low vision thing. I'm going to go into my start menu and I'm typing ease of access. And in Windows 11, it is called accessibility, so you can just type that in instead. But let me turn Magnifier on, and ease of access is where you go. If you want to explore what features are in Windows 10, you can go under ease of access or accessibility in Windows 11. And I'm not going to go into all these categories, but these are a lot of the things that I've been talking about. Windows Magnifier. I can adjust the mouse pointer. I want to make that be because the default pointer is very hard to see. It's tiny, it's white. I make mine a little bigger. I can change colors. I can do the same thing with a text cursor. So I can see those little wedges there. I can turn those on, and then when I'm typing in Google Docs or Microsoft Word or a web form or what have you, the Windows Mail app, I can just have that there. I can customize it to have it like a little bit of wedges. I can make it, a big visual there. I can even thicken the cursor. I've got Magnifier and Narrator. So Narrator is a built-in screen reader that is in Windows. It's been in there for a long time, but it's actually only really been halfway decent, I would argue, since Windows 10. Windows 7 kind of sort of had it okay, and you could use it for a few basic things. But starting in Windows 10, it actually got to the point where, there are still other better screen readers out there that I would recommend for most people who want to use a screen reader. But Narrator is getting better every day, and it's really not that bad. It works pretty well in Office. It works pretty well in Microsoft Edge. When you start leaving and you go into like third-party stuff like Chrome and everything, your mileage is going to vary a bit, and it won't be supported as well there yet. But again, it's getting better. So at any time, I can hit a keyboard shortcut key, Windows Control Enter.
Mouse mode on. Settings window.
Now, I can control my computer with my keyboard if I go to my Start menu.
Start window. All apps.
I'm just going to arrow down.
Viewer, Cap A. Access. Adobe Connect. Alarms and clock. Amazon folder. Apple Asphalt 9. Audacity.
So there we go. I can go through those,
Settings
whatever.
window.
Now, as a low vision user, here's a nice cheat that you can use. Like I don't have any magnification on right now. But I can see that things are there, but I just can't read them because the text is too small. Most modern screen readers, though, these days have a mode where if you are, let's say, legally blind, you have some usable vision, you can see if stuff is there. I can literally take my mouse.
Cursor heading level 2. Turn on text cursor
And I can
heading
hover
reader.
over things and it'll read what's under my mouse pointer. Let's go back to that let's go back to that Edge window. If I go ahead and, well, this isn't a good website. Let's go back to that AppleViz real quick.
Loading page. App bar.
Oh yeah, okay, we got to go back. Here's AppleViz. So
Silver. You with the accessibility features of your getting link. Getting started with
Tells you
your
that it's a
first
link.
Getting started with your first
It
iPhone,
visually
iPad,
highlights.
or link these. Silver, they.
I don't know. I gotta look. There's an option, I guess, where it's telling me the background text color or the color of the text. I'm probably gonna turn that off because normally I don't care. But if you do want it, let's say again you're doing something visual for sighted users, you can say, "Oh, I want to find the red text in this document." You can
On
do
this
that.
web link, if you are looking for iOS and Silver or low vision
But I
users
can
and
just
wish
hover over, and that's a really cool thing because like if I have magnifier on or off, I can literally be like, "Oh, that looks interesting." Well, rather than me reading it myself, I can just have my screen reader hover my mouse over it, and it'll read it to me at whatever speed and whatever voice I have it set to. At any time, I can just hit a shortcut key and I can stop
exiting
narrator.
narrator.
Narrator's gone. Now my computer is back to normal. There's nothing else going on. We're back. There is another free screen reader that anyone can download for free. It is an open source screen reader. It is called NVDA, stands for Non-Visual Desktop Access. You can get it at NVD or you can get it at nvaccess.org. But I'm going to run that really quick just to show you really fast. There you go. You get your audio tone saying you started. And this one is a more substantial screen reader. Even it's still free, but I would say it's more substantial than what Narrator currently is. It works quite well in Chrome. I think it works pretty well in Firefox. I don't use Firefox all that often, these days, so I don't really remember. But like I said, I can hover over.
On this website, but they do provide a great place to start learning about in which you will
I'm
find
just
for
hovering
low
over
vision
some
users and
text,
which will help
and
you in
boom,
your
it's
daily
reading.
life.
Now, this is not how a totally blind person would typically use a screen reader. And to demonstrate that, let me go back over to Chrome,
Amazon.
and I got my Kindle website up here, and I'm gonna go home.
Skip to main content.
Now, this is a way too much to go into detail here, but because using a screen reader versus using a mouse, there is definitely one of the main things I will say about a computer screen reader, be it PC or Mac, is if you're going to use a screen reader, there's definitely a learning curve because you're using your computer in a totally different way than your average sighted user would, because you're not just looking, eyeballing everything and clicking on it. You're actually using the keyboard. So because of that, I'm not going to arrow my way through, like, look at how complex this website is. There's things across the top, there's multiple columns of information, there's just stuff everywhere. So it doesn't make sense to just sequentially go through the page. I would be going through this one screen forever. So a screen reader will typically give you shortcuts, and they use the letter keys on your keyboard when you're in like a browser window. And I can use different letters to jump through and look at different things. So I want to search for a book because I'm on the Kindle website. So I'm going to hit E for edit box because that's what they're called.
Banner landmark navigation landmark search landmark search. Banner
Okay, you hear
landmark.
that little ding. So that's my little telling me that I can type because I hit enter. I'm just going to type in a book that I've read, Masters of Doom.
Doom.
Great book, by the way, if you're into.
Amazon.com. Masters of
So now
Doom.
I can visually see that results came up, but it tells me that the page is reloaded. Now I'm not going to search anymore. Now I want to find the results. So a lot of web pages, if they're designed well, will use things like headings.
Clickable 124 of 221 result. Masters of Doom. How-to guys
Boom,
created
I
an
found
empire
it.
and transformed pop culture. Link heading level 2.
So let's go in there.
Skip to main content.
Now, if I
Banner
wanted to
landmark
buy it,
navigation
I
landmark.
happen to know that Amazon uses buttons. Now, I'm not going to buy it, but I can show you how quickly I can. So I'm going to hit H because I want to go to the main title. I want to see how much it costs first.
Clickable main landmark. Clickable Masters of Doom. How to. Heading level
I'm
1
going to arrow
audiobook.
down.
Unabridged. Link David Kushner. Button 4.7 out of 5. Separator.
So 4.7 out of 5 stars.
Link see all 4. Blank. List with 4 items. Link Kindle. Link $14.99.
All right, 15 bucks. So let's say that I wanted that, and I happen to know this this website has buttons on it. So I'm gonna hit B for button.
Prime button link. Prime button link. Play icon listen now button.
So I already own this, so it's showing me the Audible version. if I, there would be a buy button if I didn't already own it. But since I do, I can just load it up and hit play. Um, so, and then, I can just navigate around. Let's say that I want to learn more about what this book is. Let's say,
Clickable people who view this all. Whisper sync for Masters of Doom. How two guys created. Masters of Doom is the amazing true story of the Lennon and MC Cartney of video games, John Carmack and John Romero. Together, they ruled big business. They provoked a
oops,
national controversy. More than anything, they lived a unique and
I
rollicking
arrowed
American
down too quickly.
dream, escaping the
So
broken
you see
home
that
of
little
their youth to
paragraph
produce the
there.
most notoriously successful.
I found it, and there I'm reading the book summary. Now, another thing that I will do is for a Kindle book, I will make sure because if I was going to read a Kindle version of this book, I would more than likely read it on my iPhone with the Kindle app. And so I would want to go down and look at the book details and then find out because some, especially textbook publishers, are still stupid. And yes, I'll say that because they purposefully block text to speech from working in their Kindle books. And I really, really wish they would stop it. This really needs to stop. But that's a whole other video topic in itself. So that's just a quick overview. Like I said, you have low vision, you have magnification, you have the ability to use your dark or light theme on Windows. You have high contrast themes. I can add this free dark reader app if I want dark mode on the web. I have a built-in screen reader with narrator. If I want a more substantial screen reader, I have a free one called NVDA. You may have heard of another paid one. You may have heard some other blind people, if you know them. People have mentioned one called JAWS, or you may have heard of a low vision program called Zoom Text. I don't currently have those two, JAWS or Zoom Text, on this machine, but I do on my work machine because we use it for work quite a bit. So these are just some, like I said, these are free tools that anyone, Windows Magnifier and Narrator, you don't have to buy or download anything. They're just there. You can play with them in Windows right now. Anybody can. NVDA and Dark Reader are both free. You can download those and they work. And so any combination of these things is how I, as a legally blind person, will use a computer. Like I said, I get comments. I have had so many comments of people just saying, well, how do you even use a computer? If you're blind, how are you even writing this comment? If I want to go into, let's say,
Start window.
Notepad, there I
Untitled
typed in
Notepad.
Notepad. So if I go into Notepad and
Text
I just
editor
type,
edit. Hello. Is a depth of using a reader.
I couldn't think of anything else to write. But you see, I mean, it's totally fine. Like a totally blind person, you can have it echo every letter, every word, or nothing, or a combination of these things. You have control over so many different things in your screen reader or magnification software. So it is totally, you know,
Notepad
whether you're just a
Amazon.
friend or family member of somebody with a vision impairment, or you see some random comment from somebody on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or other social media, and they're like, "Oh, how is a blind person even doing this? They're faking it. They're not blind or they're not low vision." Yeah, they are. It's just that there's a lot of great technology to help with that kind of a thing now. Um, and there are similar things on a Mac. You have a feature called Zoom, which is the equivalent of Windows Magnifier. I don't think Zoom has quite as many customization features as Magnifier does. Um, I would say Windows low vision features are a little bit better than the Mac at the moment. But VoiceOver is actually the equivalent to Narrator, and I would say VoiceOver on the Mac is a little bit ahead of Narrator, and it's a little bit more, I would say it's more comparable to NVDA. What I like about Windows is that you have more than just VoiceOver as an option. I showed you two screen readers already.
Exit NV.
I've talked about three. And in an employment setting, um, Most office jobs are going to run in a Windows environment. So it's really good idea for a blind or visually impaired user to probably be familiar with the Windows environment, because the vast majority of jobs that you may look for that will use a computer in some way are going to more than likely be Windows. Macs are used in certain cases, a lot of times with like app development or more artsy fields like audio or graphic design, um, audio production, video production, graphic design, but even some of that is done on Windows these days. And if you're an employer, if you're watching this and, you own a business or you have the power to hire people in a business, look at what I've shown you in this video. Look at how quickly I zipped around Amazon. Look at how quickly I wrote something. I can go into Word, I can write documents, I can write professional documents. Yes, we can write them, we can format them, we can do Excel, we can do PowerPoints, we can do any number of different things. So, so it's like, checking email, surfing the internet, any number of these things. One of the biggest barriers that people with disabilities in general, but I'm going to still focus on blind visually impaired. One of the biggest barriers that we have is not necessarily the technology, it's people's attitudes. You get these comments from people, and especially the people in power, people that have the ability to hire, or, management, or just, people to admit people into a program or whatever. There's just this really general low expectation of people with disabilities. And again, people who are blind or visually impaired. Well, you're blind or visually impaired. You can't keep up. You can't read. You need to be able to do all these things. Um, yeah, we do, and we can. We may do it a little bit differently than your average sighted user, but especially once people get used to what their tasks and what their job duties are, they're fine. Give people the chance. I'm using this video to showcase what technology is available, what technology I and other blind and low vision users will use, but I'm also wanting to send the message out there to people who are hiring, people who are just in general, get rid of some of these stereotypes that people with disabilities are helpless and, dependent on, just, we just sit at home and don't do anything. We collect government benefits and we can't work and we can't go to school. We can't, do any number of things that your average non-disabled person would do. Yeah, we do. And before I wrap up, I've shown you things on my computer, but I also have another program in the background here, and I'm going to show you very briefly. I'm going to bring up my iPhone because I can share that to my computer as well. So I've shown you again, I got comments, how do you use you can't use a phone, or how are you even writing this if you say you're blind? Just like Windows or the Mac, Android and iOS have their own assistive technology features in them. And then on top of that, you have gazillions of apps that are either mainstream apps that everybody uses, your YouTube, your Facebook, your Twitter, your shopping apps, Uber, Lyft, GPS apps, banking, bill pay, grocery deliver, Instacart is wonderful. Um, all these different things. But then you have stuff like, I'm going to go into settings. I'm going to go into accessibility. And again, just like in Windows, we're under ease of access or accessibility, you have a lot of different things here. You have Zoom, you have VoiceOver. So Zoom is what I talked about on the Mac. It's on iOS too. If I go into Zoom and I turn it on, hello. Then you have your large, I can pan around the screen with 3 fingers. This is built into your phone. Every iPhone has this. Android also has a very good magnification gestures is what they call it, magnification gestures. I would argue that I like Android's implementation of magnification better than I like Zoom on the iPad or iPhone, but they both work great. And remember how I showed you Windows Magnifier? and how you can just have it read when you Alt Control click. Spoken content is kind of the same type of feature that you can get on your iPad or iPhone. So I can swipe two fingers down and just read everything on the screen. If I enable this, it's the speak screen, or I can drag and select an item, and then whatever I drag and select, I can have it read aloud. So those are for people who want to have some speech when they want it, but they don't want their phone talking to them all the time. For people who do want that or need that, of course, there is VoiceOver. And I'm going to use my accessibility shortcut. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to go down. You see on the bottom of accessibility here, we have a thing called accessibility shortcut. If I go in there, it's mine is set to VoiceOver. These are all the accessibility features that are built into an iOS device, iPhone, iPad, and I can check or uncheck any of these. I only have one of them disabled, so when I hit the side button, the lock button, 3 times on my iPhone 13 Pro Max here, it will turn VoiceOver on and off because that's what I have checked. If I checked Zoom, it would turn that on and off. If I have multiple things checked, it'll come up with a little menu and ask which one I want to turn on or off. So that is your accessibility stuff. And there's way more. There's stuff for hearing and mobility and interaction. Just take a look under here. There's text size options. There's just any number of things. Like just like I said, there's tons of accessibility features on Android and iOS. iPhone itself, iPhone and iPad iOS, it not only has where you can magnify the screen, but let's say you're out and you need to read a restaurant menu. You need to read a handout in class. You need to read a piece of mail, any number of things, a label. I'll go into my control center and I'm going to open up Magnifier, the little magnifying lens there. I've got a piece of paper on my table. I can pinch to zoom and I can make it as big as I want. Now, normally I have it sideways because I can get more text, but because I'm mirroring it to my computer, I'll keep it vertical. But I can turn the flash on. That sharpens it up a little bit, makes it much more crisp. And this does a little bit of extra post-processing to make things clearer than your standard camera app. So I do recommend, if you want to use magnification to turn your phone into basically what they call a video magnifier or a CCTV in the low vision community. People carry their phone with them everywhere anyway. And they have such good cameras on them that I've got a built-in magnifier. I've shown this to clients through work, and I've seen parents go, dude, that's pretty cool. Hell, I'm going to use that myself. And they get more excited about it than the students do. So, yeah, I mean, not Windows Magnifier, but the Magnifier app on your iPhone and iPad, you can just turn it on. All you do is you just go into settings and you go to the control center, and then you just add, you click the little plus button next to magnifier, and then from that point on, you'll just see somewhere in your list here, you'll see the little magnifying glass. You tap that, and boom, you've got magnifier. So that's low vision-y stuff. But then you have, like I said, VoiceOver. Now, I'm not going to slow this down because I will show you, like, this is how I typically will listen to my phone.
VoiceOver on. Game services folder. 22 apps. 64 new items. Double tap to open.
So if I'm a totally blind person, how am I going to navigate this flat piece of glass? Actually, it's very intuitive. I can touch somewhere on the screen, and instead of activating the item, it'll tell me what it is.
Mail. 3 unread emails. Safari. Double tap
There's
to open.
Safari.
Safari.
Mail.
Mail. 3 unread email. Phone. Double tap to
phone.
Open. Knocked. Double tap. Hell Hunter. Anti-Omen. Page.
So we got some games there.
Voice stream scanner. Overcast. Double tap to open. VR folder. 19 apps. Voice stream scan. Seeing assistant magnifier. Beta.
So let's say that I want books.
Double tap to opening books
folder. I mentioned Kindle.
Bard mobile. Kindle. Double tap to
open Kindle. I'll double tap to open.
Kindle. Double tap for menu.
Now I want to read this book. I'm at the end of a book. I'm just going to touch near the top.
Most would have succumbed to. But he never gave in and built Southwest from the little airline that could into the most valuable airline in the country. Was my inspiration because he demonstrated that the conventional way is not necessarily the best way. Watching her run Southwest Airlines helped give me the freedom to think for myself, challenge convention, and find my own answers. Almost everything he did came from.
And it'll just keep reading, and it'll turn the page, and it'll keep reading until I tell it to stop. Now, again, a lot of you probably didn't understand that, but I am doing this on purpose to show you. When I showed you the computer stuff, I had the voices slow. When, this is the general speed that I would typically listen to, and you can even speed it up more. But this is the speed that I, on average, will listen to on my iPhone if I'm listening to an email or an article on a web page, a Kindle book, whatever. And so this is using VoiceOver. You see my book. You see my book apps here. I've got a bunch of them. I can use Kindle. I can use Audible for audiobooks. There are a couple of other services that I won't go into detail here because it's a little bit beyond the scope of this video, but like there's a service called Bookshare and Bard. Those are two services where you have to provide proof of a print-related disability like blindness, low vision, dyslexia, learning disability, something like that. And if you would qualify, you get access. You have to provide like proof of that type of disability, and then you can have access to, like I said, Bookshare and Bard. Voice Dream Reader is an app that I think anyone, even if you don't have a vision impairment, you may find helpful. I'm going to open it real quick, and I'm going to go into back. I'm going to go into, yes, let's go folder, and I'm going to go, let's go into assistive technology folder. Sure, we'll go in there. And you see how fast I'm just navigating this. Like I said, blind people can be just as efficient as sighted people, or low vision users can be just as efficient. I can read these books, like Bookshare books, PDF files, Word documents, PowerPoint file. I mean, you can dump any number of different types of files into this Voice Dream Reader app, and you can visually read them. You can adjust the size, the font, the color, the highlight color if it's reading aloud. So this is just such a great reading app. I can hit play.
Adjustable. Sadly, he passed away in July of 2019. I had so looked forward to presenting him with the direct result of his kindness toward me and others. In the end, I find closure.
So there we go. I mean, another way to read text with audio, text to speech with the book. So if you like to read and maybe, or somebody, maybe you have an older relative who loved to read, but they lost their vision later in life. God, man, get them an iPad, set them up with like some technology training. Like if you're from the US, look through your your vocational rehabilitation services or services for the blind, whatever your state happens to have. Maybe get them or like a lighthouse for the blind, something where they can get some training on using these types of devices. And like I said, the iPhone, iOS stuff, iPad is not really all that complex, and they're not really too bad. And so there are loads of ways to read and still be portable. I mean, I got my wireless Bluetooth headphones. You get yourself a pair of like AfterShokz or something like that. Get yourself a Bluetooth ear headphones of some sort. And the beauty is you can, I read while I'm, working around the apartment or on the bus or whatever. Like multitask, especially once you get used to it. There are also ways to read print material. So if I go, let me go back into Voice Dream Reader actually.
Voice Dream active.
And there's another app called, no, let me go into Seeing AI. Let me do that one because that's more appropriate for this video. Voice Dream Reader, the cool thing about that is you can basically snap a picture and save it right in the folder that you're currently in. So let's say you're in school, you've got a history folder, you've got a biology folder, you've got any number of folders for your different subjects. You got your textbook in there, but then you got some assignments from some other material that your instructor wanted you to read, snap a picture of it, it sucks the text out of it, makes it accessible. It can also pull the text out of, or OCR, optical character recognition. It can pull the text out of image PDF files. So a lot of people just slap an image or slap a picture of text into PDF files, which are not inherently accessible. PDFs can be natively accessible. There's some great ones, but a lot of people don't go that extra effort and make PDF files accessible. But if you share it to an app like VoiceDream Reader, its scanner feature can, like I said, OCR or pull the text out of those files to make them more accessible. And then you can read them visually clearer, you can read them audibly, and that. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is called Seeing AI. This is a multi-tool app. If you want to see any of these apps in detail, VoiceDream Reader, Seeing AI, go under just look under the playlist section for the channel and look at the iOS Accessible App Spotlight playlist. You'll find all kinds of mainstream and blindness and low vision related apps. But I want to showcase this one really quickly because if you're totally blind or low vision, there's things in the real world that you just have trouble seeing. Now, having enough vision, I have the benefit I can still use the magnifier, and I can use my phone as basically a digital magnifier. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. So I'm going to open Seeing AI.
Opening logo other Seeing AI. Double tap to open.
And there's a bunch of different modes. So it's going to start up and it's going to short text mode. As soon as it sees text,
Seeing AI. Let's get started. Now that you're enrolled in the Health Partners plan, take a few simple steps to set yourself up for success.
As soon as it sees text, it reads.
Channel, short text,
but
logo other, document, logo other,
I have a document mode.
Bottom right corner not visible. Product, logo other,
I have a product mode, which will let me scan barcodes. I'll talk about that in a second.
Person, logo other, outdoor.
Person, I can, if I want to find, how many people, let's say I want to, I'll explain that in a minute too.
Currency, logo other, outdoor.
Currency, so paper money, all US bills, basically feel the same if you're blind. So you can tell if it's a 1, a 5, a 10, 20, etc.
Preview, logo other, outdoor.
I can get a scene preview. I can take a picture and it'll try to tell me what's in the camera viewfinder. It's a little experimental at that point, but
outdoor.
We've got color.
Table. Color preview brown.
So, like I said, there's a handwriting mode, but there's all kinds of different things. So you can take a picture, just like type text. You have a handwriting mode where you can take a picture of, let's say people get greeting cards near the holidays, or they leave you a handwritten note. As long as their as long as their handwriting is halfway readable, it may not be perfect, but they can take a picture of it and it'll try to OCR that handwriting and actually read it aloud to the blind user. So again, this video is getting long, but I wanted to give a nice overall summary of all just a very introductory look into some of the technologies that I and many other blind and low vision users regularly use to access the computer, use the smartphone or tablet, read things in the real world, reading papers, reading barcodes. Like I said, I can with the Seeing AI, I can hold a package in front of it, identify the barcode. Let's say you have 3 cans of soup in your cupboard and I want tomato soup today. I don't want I don't want chicken noodle or chili. The cans basically they feel the same, so you can find out what the product is. Some products will also have product information, so once it knows the product, you can hit the more info button, and it'll sometimes it'll give you cooking instructions, nutritional information. You're looking at a CD, it might give you like the track listings, any number of different things. So it's not just for food products, but like cleaning products or DVDs, CDs, any number of different things, barcodes. But the point is that Seeing AI is a free. You can download this for free and play with it yourself. it uses the camera. People, again, people think, what the hell would a blind person use a camera for? Why would they use a smartphone camera? Well, as you can tell, there's a lot of cool uses that you can use for a camera. There are even apps like Be My Eyes or AIRA, AIRA, where you literally connect to a sighted user, like a volunteer, almost like a video call, or people do it over FaceTime. But these are a couple of apps that are specifically designed to a blind person would connect to a sighted user, and then the blind person would ask the sighted volunteer or the sighted user a question, something visual in their environment, and then the sighted user would guide them into where to point their camera. And maybe they need to find out what the color of the shirt is so they get the right, they're wearing the right color shirt to match with their outfit for an interview, or they need to read some other, they need to know some visual task in their environment or something. So there's all kinds of cool things that you can do with a smartphone camera, for instance. So, there's so many people who just like totally dismiss blind or low vision users, like, oh, well, what they're faking it, or they're not blind, or even if they're not thinking they fake it, like, how do you even know? How do you use an iPhone? How do you use an Android phone or a computer? Like, and again, some of the replies that I've seen, somebody else will chime in and they're like, well, obviously they talk to the computer. Well, no, that's only gonna see. And again, yes, I can dictate. I could use Siri and ask it to do things, but even
Drop
on
folder.
my
Spotted. New items
iPhone,
found.
let's
Search.
say I want
Text
to
field. Editing.
search.
Search. Insertion point of C.
Let's say I want to
Select
look
all way down to
for
select left
Kindle.
rectangle. K. K. I. Top. I. G. N. N. Top search D. Del D. Top search K. L. L. Top search E.
So
Top
it's
search
just
result.
a
Kindle.
QWERTY
42 items
keyboard,
found.
and as long as you start developing the muscle memory where things are, you kind of know where to put your finger, and even if you don't, you just slide your finger around.
F. G. H. J. K. H. G. F. C. V. N. G. F.
Whenever I
11
let
items found.
go, it puts in the letter. So I just, whenever I land on a key and then I let go, it types that letter. Um, so yeah, it's totally possible, and it works really well for a blind person to use the on-screen touch keyboard, just that everyone uses. Um, we don't have to talk to our computers. We can if we want to, but no, honestly, what a blind and low vision user needs is they need the device to talk back to them. Because yeah, I mean, yeah, you can tell it to do stuff, but if it brings up a web page or if it brings up something on your screen, talking to it isn't going to do you any good, because it's not going to tell you, it's not what you really need is you need the device to tell you what's on its screen. So I know this got to be a little longer than I originally wanted it to be, but this is a video that I will plan to share with people when next time, in the future, when I get these questions. How does a blind person, how do you even use a computer? How do you even use Twitter? How do you use an iPhone? Whatever. Like, you're blind, you're legally blind, you're whatever you are. Yeah, you totally can. I mean, I can just really
CMDI. Voice stream.
quickly.
Voice stream. Kindle. Settings. Magnifier. Mail. Home Quest. Active. YouTube. Active. Safari. Active. Steam. Active. Twitter. Active.
There's
Twitter.
Twitter,
Active.
there's my
Notifications tab.
notifications. Boom.
Nightblade retweeted your tweet. Nightblade retweeted your tweet. I remember the Nintendo ones, but not the Sega series. Liked 2 of your tweets. A good first day of the hashtag
So
#SenToshi now.
there's my
I'm looking forward to
notification
seeing the topic.
thing. So yeah, it's reading stuff. I can read mail, I
Linux
can
folder.
read
30.
any number of apps, I can pay my bills on, using an app, I can shop, I can use GPS, I can do all kinds of cool things. So hopefully this video, I mean, a lot of my, a lot of people who usually watch this channel, this will be old news to many of you, but again, this is a video that I want to really try to introduce more sighted viewers of the channel to be like, in one place. Like, how does a low vision or a blind person use a computer, use a smartphone? This is just a very top level. Like, here are some of the things that are generally out there, that are possible, that are even free. The only app that costs money that I've shown today is Voice Dream Reader. It's $20. It's a one-time $20 fee, which is worth way more than that in my opinion. But everything else I've shown you is free. It's either built into the operating systems themselves, or you download it from the internet or the App Store. You know, that's it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you found it helpful. And now I will have a video to pass along to sighted users who ask this question. So, again, if you are a sighted, if you are a non-disabled person and you are wondering how someone who is blind or visually impaired uses technology, or if they can work, if they can go to school, if they can live independently, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. So, I really want to try to fight the stereotype again of that, we're just incapable and, we can't do anything, we can't work. Yes, we can and we should. And we can totally work and have fun and do pretty much everything that everyone else does. So, again, hopefully you found this video helpful. Give it a like if you did. Subscribe if you have not done so already. You can follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-sighted, illegally-sighted.com, or right here on YouTube, youtube.com/illegally-sighted. So until next time, I will chat with everyone again later.